exactly what to expect in your first violin lesson. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher currently based in New Jersey. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have both my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I'm a Suzuki trained teacher. Now, of course, I cannot speak for everyone, but I will share with you in this video what you can expect in your first violin lesson with me. You can expect many teachers to be similar, but if you're interested in booking that very first lesson with me, you can click the link in the description to apply. When I'm chatting with a prospective student, I first offer to set up a virtual meeting just so that we can get to know each other, I can get a sense of their playing, and we can discuss all of the details of lessons. This meeting is always virtual, even if it's a student that I will be seeing here in person. It's just easier for both parties to make sure that we're a good fit before moving forward. In that initial meeting, I asked the student to just tell me about themselves. I like to get to know them a little bit and about their history and experience with the violin. Afterwards, I'll ask them to play a little bit for me. Anything they'd like, just so I can get a sense of their playing level. After they play, it's likely that I'll have a couple of more questions for them regarding their playing, and then I'll share what I notice and what I think would be a good game plan going forward. We'll discuss the details of lessons. Generally, students will be taking one lesson per week in increments of either 30, 45, or 60 minutes. For beginners, I usually suggest 30 minutes. I find that's plenty at the beginning stages. And for intermediates, 45, and for advanced, 60. If the student decides they'd like to continue, I'll send over my studio policies and we'll decide on a weekly lesson time. If the student is still unsure but wants to try it out, then I will offer a trial lesson. I personally do not offer free trial lessons anymore. I used to and found that I was being taken advantage of for people that just wanted free lessons. However, this is not an uncommon thing to do. You might be able to find a free trial lesson in your area. I do offer a discount for the trial lesson though. In that very first lesson, I'll first go over the parts of the violin. This is important to understand because they will be referenced throughout our lessons. Then I'll discuss how to hold the bow. We'll practice a few bow holds together, and then I'll ask the student to do it by themselves so I can see if they truly understand what I'm asking them to do. Then we will move to holding the violin. After that, I might do one of two things depending on the age and experience of the student. If the student is young and or has no prior musical experience, then I will start with the Suzuki twinkle rhythms. The reason for this is because bowing straight with your whole entire bow is actually pretty difficult and requires a lot of skill. So I like to start with those twinkle rhythms to work on the bow mechanics, aka just moving the elbow and not the shoulder. And of course, to make sure that the bow is staying in a good contact point and the student is producing a pleasing sound. We will bow either the twinkle rhythms or just long straight bows on the E string, on the A string, and then practice crossing strings. So going E, A, E, A. Sometimes that's all I have time for because at the very end of the lesson, I like to wrap things up and do a 5-minute mini lesson. So go over everything that we covered. So I'll go back over the parts of the violin, how to hold the bow, how to hold the violin, and the bowing the open strings, and give my practice assignment. If the student flew through those things, then I'll move to an A major scale. I'll have the student practice this with just the left hand by itself so I can make sure the left hand is set up well, and then if we have time, we'll bow that scale. I've never had a first lesson do more than that. Again, this is just what I would do. If you are taking a first lesson from a different teacher, this might not be their process, but I would be willing to bet it's something similar. You need to know those parts of the violin. You need to know how to hold the bow and the violin, and you need to practice on your open strings and probably a scale. It's possible that you might also be introduced to reading music, musical notation, so things like treble clefs, key signatures, quarter notes, half notes, and things like that. If the student is interested in learning by ear, then I'll also add additional oral exercises into that lesson as well. So let me know, what was your first violin lesson like, if you remember it? I do not remember mine at all. And if you're a teacher, what do you teach in that first violin lesson? I'd love to hear. Drop me a comment and let me know. Thanks so much for watching.